My name is Ryan Mitchell. I'm 26 now. But the things I'm about to tell you started when I was 23, in the fall of 2022. I still live in the same small city in Ohio. Nothing special, just another Midwest place where everyone knows everyone and nothing ever happens. At least that's what I used to believe. It began with a Craigslist ad. I was looking for a cheap room to rent because my lease was ending and my roommate had decided to move in with his girlfriend. The ad I found was simple: room for rent in quiet house on Elmwood Avenue, $375 per month, utilities included. No pets, no parties. Serious inquiries only. Text 419-XX-XXX-XXXM. The price was suspiciously low for the area, but the pictures showed a clean, old 2-story house with dark green siding, tall windows, and a big front porch. It looked normal, almost too normal. I texted the number that afternoon. The reply came within minutes. Hi, Ryan. Still available. Can you come see it tomorrow at 6 p.m.? Margaret. No small talk, no questions about me, just that. I said yes. When I pulled up the next evening, the house looked exactly like the photos, except the porch light was off and the curtains were drawn tight. A woman in her late 50s opened the door before I even knocked. She was thin, pale, gray hair, pulled back in a tight bun. She wore a long cardigan even though it was warm outside. You must be Ryan, she said. Her voice was soft, almost whispery. Come in. She didn't offer a handshake. She just stepped aside. The inside smelled like old books and something faintly metallic I couldn't place. The living room had dark wood paneling, a floral couch that looked like it hadn't been sat on in years, and one of those big console TVs from the 90s that still had a VCR built in. No photos on the walls, no decorations at all really, just empty space. She led me upstairs without saying much. The stairs creaked in a rhythm that felt deliberate, like they were counting each step. My room was at the end of the hall, small single bed, wooden dresser, one window facing the backyard. The backyard was just overgrown grass and a chain link fence, nothing else. It's quiet here, she said. You'll like that. I asked the usual questions. Deposit, lease length, rules. She answered everything in short sentences. No lease needed, just month to month, half deposit up front, no overnight guests. And one last thing, don't go into the basement. She said it casually, like she was mentioning where the trash cans were. I laughed a little, thinking it was a joke about spiders or mold. She didn't smile back. I'm serious, she added. The door is locked anyway, but don't try to open it. I nodded, figuring she had some personal storage down there she didn't want touched. Fair enough. I moved in 3 days later. The first 2 weeks were uneventful. Margaret was barely around, always gone by the time I woke up, back after I went to bed. She left notes on the fridge sometimes. Please wipe down counters after use. Quiet after 10 p.m. Normal landlord stuff. I barely saw her. Then the sound started. It was always around 2:40 to 3:10 a.m. A low, rhythmic tapping coming from below the floorboards. Not loud enough to wake me fully, but loud enough to pull me out of sleep. Other than tap, 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 pause, tap, tap, pause. Like someone was sending Morse code very slowly. I told myself it was pipes. Old houses have pipes that knock when the heat kicks on, except the heat wasn't on. It was still September. I started recording the sound on my phone one night. When I played it back the next morning, the tapping was there, but underneath it, so faint I almost missed it, was a woman's voice, not Margaret's. Younger, whispering the same phrase over and over. Stay awake, stay awake, stay awake. The voice sounded exhausted, like someone who'd been saying it for hours. I showed the recording to my friend Caleb. He listened twice, then looked at me like I was losing it. Dude, that's just distortion, or maybe the neighbor's TV. You're paranoid because of the creepy landlady. Maybe he was right. I deleted the file, but the tapping didn't stop. It got closer. By the third week, the sound wasn't coming from under the floor anymore. It was coming from inside the walls, specifically the wall that separated my room from the hallway. Tap, 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 right behind where my headboard was. I moved the bed to the other side of the room. The tapping followed. Same spot, same time. I started sleeping with earbuds in, white noise on loop. It helped a little, until the night I woke up because the white noise cut out and the tapping was right next to my ear. Not through the wall, inside the pillow. I ripped the pillowcase open. Nothing but feathers and cotton. That was when I decided to look for the basement door. It was under the staircase, behind a narrow wooden panel that blended perfectly with the wall. There was a keyhole, but no knob. I pressed my ear to it. Dead silence. No tapping, no breathing, just cold air leaking through the crack. I went back upstairs and tried to forget about it. Then Margaret started acting strange. She began leaving food out for me on the kitchen table at night. Not normal food. A single slice of white bread with a smear of butter, a glass of water, a spoon lying beside it, never a note. Just the items arranged carefully like an offering. One night I came home late from work and found something new. A Polaroid photo on the table. It was me. I was sleeping, taken from above like someone was standing at the foot of my bed. My face was slack and mouth open. The timestamp in the corner said 3:04 a.m. and 2 nights earlier. I felt my stomach drop. I confronted Margaret the next morning. She was sitting at the kitchen table drinking tea, staring out the window. "Did you take this?" I asked, holding up the photo. She didn't look at it. She just said very quietly, "I told you not to go in the basement." That's not an answer. She finally turned her head. Her eyes were bloodshot, like she hadn't slept in days. "She likes to watch people sleep," she said. "If you stay awake long enough. She gets bored. And when she gets bored, she finds other ways to keep you company." "Who's she?" Margaret stood up slowly. "The girl who used to live here. Before me. Before you." She walked past me and went upstairs without another word. That night I didn't sleep at all. I sat on the floor with my back against the door, lights on, phone in my hand, ready to call 911 if anything moved. Around 2:50 a.m., the tapping started again. This time louder, faster, angry. Then it stopped. Silence, then my name. Not whispered, spoken clearly, from the other side of the door. "Ryan." It was a woman's voice, young, tired, familiar in a way that made my skin crawl because I'd never heard it before. I didn't answer. "Ryan, open the door. I'm cold." I stayed silent. The doorknob turned slowly, once, twice. Then it rattled hard like someone was frustrated, then silence again. I sat there until sunrise. When I finally opened the door at 7 a.m., there was nothing in the hallway. But on the floor, right outside my threshold, someone had drawn a small circle in black marker. Inside the circle was one word, written in careful, childlike letters: awake. I moved out 3 days later. I left most of my stuff behind. I just packed what I could carry and left the key on the kitchen table with a note that said, "I'm gone." Margaret never texted, never called, never tried to get the rest of the rent. I crashed on Caleb's couch for a month. I thought it was over. Until 2 weeks ago, I started hearing the tapping again, not in the walls, not under the floor, inside my own head, every night. Same time, 2:40 a.m. Tap, tap, tap. and sometimes very faintly, the same voice. Ryan, stay awake. I haven't slept more than 2 hours at a time in weeks. I keep thinking about the Polaroid, about how she got that picture. And I keep wondering, if I ever fall asleep again, will she be there waiting with the camera or with something worse? To be continued in part 2.